how does that impact us with our chapter? And the third would be the 3 values that have impacted me personally up to this point in time. So let's start with the first one, and I want to start with a quote from Roy E. Disney. It's hard to know what your values are when you don't know yourself. Now, by raise of hands, how many people actually know themselves and what their values are? Okay. Now let's take a raise of hands for a point in time that you didn't know what they were. Okay? I like it. So this past year alone was a really tough time for me. This is going to be a huge shout out to my mom. So this past fall, she was diagnosed with a disease called sclerosing mesenteritis. It was expected to give her 3 years life expectancy. It took a huge toll on myself as well as her. And the other person I really want to do a huge shout out today to is to my brother Phil. So the whole point of that quote, we listen to each other, right? That's how we pick ourselves back up. I was going through a really tough time. I had to go seek help from a doctor. You know, it's tough times. Mental illness is a huge concern in the U.S. right now. And I found this help. He pushed me to go find help. And if I didn't listen to him, I never would have. Now, when it comes to open constructive criticism, we need to transfer that when it comes into the workplace, just like PSE. So when it comes to that, we need to really collaborate with each other and just be open to each other. One of my other friends, Neil will know him, Pat, he said this quote to me. He said, "Friends are there to tell you the things that you don't want to hear." And in that case, it was my brother telling me I had to go get help. And I did. And after I got help, it made me realize, what those 3 values I had were in my life. These are going to change throughout time, and they certainly did for me. The first one being focus. I really had to change how I had my perspective on things. 2 would be compassion, listening to your heart, knowing when to accept others, and knowing their advice is legitimate. The 3rd would be resilience, never giving up. If I didn't find help, it could have been a bad scenario. And the moral of the story is, how am I going to use these values out in the workforce, right? How do I implement it in PSC? Through these marketing projects, we work with each other. We build teams. We execute on objectives, whatever it may be. I'm talking to Justin here because he knows we get stuff done. And when it comes to, goals, we know our why, we know our values. That's why I'm going to put forth those values I have, but again, focus, compassion, and resilience. I want to spread awareness for 2 different reasons. I'm going to spread awareness for mental health amongst men in the United States and around the world, and 2, for my mom with sclerosing mesenteritis. And it was quite the blessing that she actually had a misdiagnosis we found out last winter break. So that gave me a really big uplift, and it made me resonate on my values, and I knew how to incorporate that into PSE, my life, and I'm going to transfer that in everything I do out in the real world. So the moral of the story, ladies and gents, is that find your values, know your why. What gets you out of bed in the morning? I didn't think I'd be on stage here if you had told me that about 3 years ago. When I first joined PSC, I was skipping meetings. And that's why it means the world to me that they came out today. I can showcase my skills, share this story with you guys, because this is the biggest crowd I've told this story to yet. And with moving forward, I'm going to try out for American Ninja Warrior in 2020. That's